So in this video, we'll understand about the different stages of a startup. So if you really want to start your own company, then you have to understand that there are different stages of funding where different types of investors will put in their money. So at the very initial stage, you just have an idea. And if you are very successful, and you will be able to raise some amount of funding from venture capitalist. But in between idea to a VC stage, you have so many stages and hurdles and barriers, then you need to go through that. So the first stage, which is also called as idea to MVP stage, where you have so many bubbles of ideas and you really want to create a MVP, that is also called as minimum viable product, which will somewhat looks like a toy. Once you have created a successful MVP, then you will try to create a product with the minimum feature possible. So for example, your MVP is 0.5% of your full product. Your main product is almost 5 to 10% of your full product. So from MVP, you create a main product, and you can easily bootstrap this stage with the help of your co-founder. For example, if two people are working on a startup, then you can easily put $50,000 from your pocket, and you can easily take other $50,000 from another guy, and you can easily start or build a product. At least if you are building a B2B business, we'll understand about what is B2B, what is B2C, what are the different stages which are there in building different sort of product. But in simple stage, once you have built your product, then you can look for some incubators or some accelerators. Now there are different types of incubators and accelerators which are there across the border or across the world. But the most common one is Y Combinator, 500 Startup, Atlas, Sequoia Surge. All these are incubators and accelerators. They will give you some amount of pre-seed capital. Some people also call that as a seed capital. It depends how you call it. But with the help of that seed capital, you can basically build a product and get some initial amount of customers. And once you got some initial amount of customers, then you can expand your horizon and you can look for some angel investors. Angel investors are now nothing but some rich individual who really want to put their personal money into your business. So all those billionaire people or any sort of rich dude which you came across, if he is investing in your startup from his personal income or from his personal wealth, then that person is an angel investors. Then you have a mix of angel and VC while in the expansion stage. And when you want to expand globally, then you have a purely VC round. Now VC are venture capitalists which raise money from different business entity or business people, and they pool the money of different people into one entity, and then they will start investing in different sort of business. So whatever money VC got by pooling different sort of money from different investors, they will put 10% of their money and 90% of investors' money, and then they will start putting that money into different sort of businesses. That's how the real business of venture capitalist works. So a lot of people ask me that why startup needs funding. So if you look at companies like Stripe and Uber, I mean, why these companies need funding? I mean, you can easily recruit 5-6 developers, you can easily build a product, and then you can easily sell it off slowly and maybe steadily to a lot of people, and you can easily gain the success. So a lot of people might ask that why companies like Stripe and Uber needs that much amount of funding. I mean, they have a good product, they have built a good technology, and they can slowly and steadily sell that product to different customers, generate some revenue, and they're profitable. But why they are raising that much amount of money? And the main reason is expansion. All these companies which have built something very unique, very great in terms of technology, they want to expand very fast, very quickly across the world, which really means that they need to hire a lot of sales representative, some onboarding people. They have to hire a big tech team of 200, 300 people to 1000 people, depending on the scale of operation. They have to expand their product portfolio. They have to expand their customers from normal MSMEs to enterprise kind of customers. They have to hire those very smart, unique, talented people like VP of sales, VP of product, VP of customer success, all these kind of people, and they really want to expand very fast. So if you ask me why startup needs funding, it's basically the development cost. They need to build a very large tech stack in a very short duration of time. So if you ask me, companies like Stripe have built different types of product in a very short period of time because they really want to be very ahead of their competitor, and that's why they are building a very big tech stack in a very short duration of time. And also the operational cost. So basically, when company is expanding globally, they also need to onboard a lot of customers. Now that can be a small business or a big corporate startup or a big corporate business. So they have to onboard a lot of people in that stage. So that's why their operational cost is also very high. Also the awareness campaigns. If you have a consumer facing startup or a business, then you have to put a lot of money in. And also if you look at companies like Uber, they have to create an incentive trap, which really means that companies like Uber have onboarded a lot of drivers initially by giving them high incentives. And once they have good number of drivers, then they'll slowly decrease down their incentives, and then those drivers are bound to drive or use Uber because they are now their complete family is now relying on Uber's salary or income, whatever you call it. And the main reason behind this much amount of capital raised by startups from different VC is that VC always accept those companies to dominate the market. But a lot of people might be thinking that how investors get their money back. I mean, they're putting a lot of money like $5 million, $10 million into the business. How will they get their money back? Now, there are different types of way they will make money or they'll get their money back from the startup. Now, that can be acquisition, that can be a merger, that can be exit, that can be an IPO. But the basic approach or the basic way to define this problem or to tell you how investors get their money back is basically the equity return or the dividend return from the equity. So startup always expect a 20 to 30 times return in 7 to 10 years from a unicorn. So for example, if they have invested $5-10 million in a startup, expect that their startup will grow by 20-30 times and soon will become a unicorn, and then they will get their money back using dividends. So consider a situation that startup was initially started by two people, the founder, which later became the CEO, and a CTO, which is also the co-founder. Initially it was started by only two people, but later on a lot of investors start putting their money, and by the end of 1-2 years, those investors hold almost 50% stake in that startup, which means they have put in money like $5 million in return of 20% of equity, $10 million in return of 25% of equity. After a couple of years, they end up reaching to a number that is equal to 50% equity. So in that situation, let's imagine a situation, the business is making $100 of profit every day. That's a very hypothetical number, but let's imagine that business is making $100 of profit every day. Because investors have 50% equity stake, so-called a share in that business, then they will get $50 out of that $100 profit as a dividend. CEO will get $25 as a dividend from that profit. CTO will also get $25 as a dividend from that profit, which simply means that initially this business was started by CTO and CEO with 50-50% equity stakes, but they don't have money to invest in this business. That is why investors will put in some amount of money and they will get the equity stakes in that business. For example, initially any business or any investors will put in somewhere around $100,000 in a business and they will get 10% equity. Then they'll again put $1 million of investment and then they will take 10% more equity. And that's how they will reach to any number. I have just taken 50% just to explain you that how investors are getting their money back through dividend. Now, apart from dividend, they can also get a lot of return using acquisition. For example, a company like Flipkart. So SoftBank have invested almost $1 billion in 2016 in Flipkart. And in 2017, it was acquired by Walmart, and software got around $500 million of return within 6 months. So that's about the acquisition, which was done by Walmart in Flipkart, and that's how SoftBank got their money back.